Hey guys, Eric Corner here at BPISecurity.com, Friday weekly announcement. I'm going to be real brief today because I only have to go over a couple of things. As you all know, we hit the skyline again today and we were exposed once again. Thanks to Mr. Fernando Flores, who apparently, after his alleged lawsuit for $15 million that was dismissed and found unfounded, has decided to find a publisher that's willing to publish a tell-all book about Miss Britney Spears. After reading that story, I wasn't surprised for a couple of reasons. In 2007, one of her other former bodyguards, Mr. Barreto, was, according to sources, was ordered to go to court and testify in a child custody case between Britney Spears and her ex-husband. I don't have a problem with that if it's a court order. What I had a problem with is when he went on his own self-promotion tour and went out and started explaining why he told his story and then tell the story. You don't need to explain if you've been ordered by court to go in there and explain. And that's the issue you have to decide on, whether or not you're going to, refuse to testify and reap the circumstances that go along with that, or if you're going to follow the court order and answer the questions. But when you go out on your own self-promoting tour to validate yourself and then basically tell the secrets of the client, that's when you cross the line and you get called out. Well, this week, Mr. Flores, Fernando Flores, like I said, decides he's going to write a book after his lawsuit for sexual harassment didn't go anywhere. This is a former police officer, go figure, that is money hungry, bottom line. And we have to deal with that. I want to thank Tracy Bennett, one of my Twitter followers, that brought this to my attention, and I wanted to expose it. And in doing that, I said, you know what? There's only two ways you make it on my blog by name. One is if you're an asset to this industry and you're helping, irrespective of what part of this industry you're in, that you're uplifting this industry and people can learn from you. That's one way you can get your name on my blog. The other way if you can get your name on our blog is if you're killing this industry. So from now on, anybody that's killing this industry is going to get the name SCAB. SCAB is an acronym for Security Counterfeiting as Bodyguard. That's your new name. And Mr. Flores, you have the honor of being the first BPI security SCAB. Now, the second thing I want to go over was this week, Oprah Winfrey's security made the news media. And there's some conflicting stories about the inner workings of what happened, but ultimately 3 people were detained, had to write a letter of apology to the news media, and they were released. They're conflicting stories because in the latest story I read, it said no Americans were arrested. Now, before you start going off on your high horse in this, it doesn't mean that the 3 weren't Americans. It means that there were no Americans arrested. So they could have been 3 Americans that were detained, wrote the letter, and then were released. It also could mean that whomever the Indian nationals that they used to augment their security could have been the ones that were involved in that brawl. Either way, the bottom line is the protectee gets embarrassed. The lesson here is whenever you use, if this was the Indian nationals, whenever you use outside sources, specifically when you go out of country, you have to have clear rules of engagement. If you do not, they will do whatever it is that they normally do when you're not there. And in some cases, because of the notoriety and the celebrity status or the status of the celebrity status of the client, they will go above and beyond what it is that you want them to do. So be mindful of that, because if anything happens, you own it. You own it. Whether they were 3 Americans or 3 Indians or whomever, Oprah Winfrey inherited that incident. So remember, we're always protecting against 3 things: intentional harm, unintentional harm, and embarrassment. And for the most part, when we're working in the United States, 2 of those 3 things we're protecting all the time. That's unintentional harm and embarrassment. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I'll go over more in terms of traveling abroad and using nationals within those countries, because as you know, I've traveled back and forth to West Africa 26 times in the last 2 years, and in doing so, I've had to use the national police within those countries, and they were extremely helpful. But if I did not set down the ground rules, it could have gotten a lot worse than what it did, and they did a great job. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Have a great weekend. Be safe, and remember, When you're out there protecting when you're out on the detail, there are two protectees: the man or woman in the back right seat and your reputation. Either one get hurt and you're done.